Jin woke before the sun. She always did. A healer's work started early. The small wooden house at the edge of Hanul village was quiet except for the gentle sound of her brother's breathing from the other room. She moved carefully across the floor, trying not to make the old boards creak. Her hands found the herbs hanging from the ceiling beams: mint for stomach pain, willow bark for fever, ginger root for coughs. Jin knew them all by touch and smell. Her grandmother had taught her well. Outside, fog covered the mountains like a white blanket. Jin loved this time of day, when the world seemed clean and new. She filled her water bucket from the stream behind their house. The water was cold against her skin. "You're up early again," a voice said. Jin turned to see her brother Tae standing by the house. He was tall and thin, his black hair messy from sleep. At 19, he was 3 years younger than Jin, but lately he acted like he was much older. "Someone has to work while you dream," Jin said with a smile. Tae picked up her heavy bucket. "Old man Kwan's joints are hurting again?" Jin nodded. "The rain is coming. His bones always know first." They walked back to the house together. Inside, Jin mixed herbs in a stone bowl while Tae ate rice from last night's dinner. "Did you see the lights again?" Tae asked suddenly. Jin's hands stopped moving. "What lights?" "In the sky, above the North Mountain. 3 nights now." Tae's eyes were bright with excitement. "Han and I watched them from the high ridge. They move in ways that aren't natural." Jin frowned. "Elder Sung warned everyone to stay inside after dark." "Elder Sung is afraid of his own shadow," Tae said, laughing. "The world is changing, Jin. Strange things are coming. I want to see them before anyone else." "Your job is to hunt, not chase lights," Jin said. "The village needs meat for winter, not stories." Tae stood up, his face serious now. "I'm going to find out what they are. Tonight. The forest is dangerous, after dark. I'm not a child. I've been hunting in those woods since I was 12. Jin saw the look in his eyes. It was the same look their father had before he left to find work in the city 5 years ago. They never heard from him again. "Just be careful," she said finally. "Promise me." Tae smiled and touched the small wooden pendant that hung from his neck, a simple design of a tree that Jin had carved for his 16th birthday. "I promise. Besides, I have your protection, don't I?" Later that day, Jin visited 6 homes. She brought medicine to Old Man Kwan. She checked on Mrs. Yoon's new baby. She cleaned a deep cut on young Ki's arm from where he fell while playing. The whole time, she couldn't stop thinking about Tae and the lights. Strange stories had come from travelers lately. Odd animals in the forest. Unusual sicknesses in villages to the north. Most people in Hanul ignored these tales. Life was hard enough, without worrying about things they couldn't see. By evening, dark clouds covered the sky. Jin hurried home through the village center, passing the sacred tree where people left offerings for good fortune. The ancient tree's trunk was wider than 3 men standing with arms outstretched. Its branches reached higher than any roof in the village. At home, Jin found a note scratched on a piece of bark. "Gone to see the lights. Back by morning. Don't worry." But Jin did worry. She made dinner and waited. Rain began to fall, hitting the roof with steady drumming sounds. Thunder rolled across the mountains. She was about to go to bed when she heard it, a scream cutting through the storm noise. Not an animal. Human. Jin grabbed her medicine bag and ran outside. Rain soaked her clothes immediately. Other villagers were coming out of their homes too, carrying lanterns and tools. It came from the North Forest. Someone shouted. Elder Sung appeared, his white hair plastered to his head from the rain. "Who is missing?" he called out. A cold fear gripped Jin's heart. "My brother," she said. "Tae went to the North Mountain." 20 men formed a search party. Jin went with them despite Elder Sung's protests that it was not a woman's place. They moved through the forest calling Tae's name. Their voices sounded small under the giant trees. They searched for hours. The rain stopped, but the ground stayed muddy and slippery. Just before dawn, one of the men called out. They had found something. Jin pushed her way through the group. On the ground lay Tae's bow broken in half. Next to it was his hunting knife. The ground around them was torn up like there had been a struggle. "Look," said Han, Tay's friend, pointing to something on a tree trunk. Strange marks cut into the bark. Not made by any tool Jin knew. And below, small drops of liquid that glowed with a blue-green light, like nothing she had ever seen. "What is that?" someone whispered. Elder Sung touched the glowing drops with the tip of his walking stick. The liquid clung to the wood, glowing brighter. "Evil," he said simply. "Something came from the stars. The old stories warned of this." Jin didn't believe in evil spirits, but she couldn't explain what she was seeing. The glowing drops made a trail leading deeper into the forest, toward the mountain. "We'll follow it," said Han. Elder Sung shook his head. "No. We return to the village. We must prepare." "Prepare for what?" Jin asked, her voice shaking. "For whatever took your brother," the old man said. They returned to Hanul as the sun rose. Jin walked in silence, carrying Tay's broken bow. The village seemed different somehow. Smaller, more fragile. For 7 days, Jin barely slept. She searched the forest edges during the day. At night, she watched the sky for the lights Tay had spoken of, but saw nothing. On the 8th night, a storm worse than any in memory hit the village. Wind tore at roofs. Lightning struck so close that the air smelled of burning. Jin was checking her roof for leaks when she heard shouts from the village center. Grabbing a cloak, she ran through the rain toward the noise. People were gathered, in a circle, holding torches that struggled to stay lit in the wind. In the middle of the circle, lit by lightning flashes, was something impossible. It was as tall as a man, but shaped nothing like one. Its body seemed made of clear glass or water, with strange machinery visible inside. Lights pulsed beneath its surface like stars seen through moving clouds. It had no face that Jin could see, but somehow she knew it was badly hurt. It moved weakly, leaving a trail of glowing blue-green drops, the same liquid they had found. "In the forest, kill it!" someone shouted. "It's the thing that's been taking people." Elder Sung stepped forward with an old sword Jin had never seen before. The crowd moved back. That's when Jin saw it. Inside the creature's clear body, among the strange lights and moving parts, hung a small wooden pendant. A simple tree design. Tay's pendant. Jin pushed through the crowd and threw herself between the creature and Elder Sung. "Wait," she shouted. "Move aside, Jin," Sung said. "This monster took your brother." Jin stood her ground, rain pouring down her face, mixing with her tears. "Killing it won't bring Tay back," she said. "But if we keep it alive, maybe we can learn. What happened? Maybe we can understand." "Understand? It's not human, it's not even of this earth," Sung said. "I'm a healer," Jin replied. "I help the sick and hurt, even those I fear." She didn't move. After a long moment, Sung lowered his sword. 3 days, he said. "Keep it in the isolation hut. Learn what you can. Then we decide its fate." Jin nodded. As the villagers backed away, she approached the creature carefully. Up close, she could see how its insides moved like nothing she had ever studied. It made no sound, but she felt it watching her. "I'll help you," she whispered, not knowing if it could understand. "But you must help me find what's left of my brother." As 4 strong men moved the creature to the isolation hut at the edge of the village, Jin felt her life changing forever. She would enter the hut as one person and leave as another, just as the creature had entered their world and changed it, simply by existing. The storm continued through the night, but Jin barely noticed as she gathered her medicines and prepared to treat a patient unlike any other. The isolation hut stood apart from the other houses in Hanul village. Its walls were thick and its single window was small. People with dangerous sicknesses stayed here until they got better, or until they didn't. Now it held something far stranger than any sick villager. Jin entered the hut carrying her medicine bag. Sunlight fell through the small window in a narrow beam, landing on the creature that lay on the floor. In daylight, it looked even more unreal. Its body was like moving water trapped in the shape of a person, but with no clear face or features. Inside its clear skin, small lights moved like fish in a pond. Gears and what looked like metal bones shifted when it moved. The blue-green liquid, its blood, Jin guessed, still leaked from several places. The creature didn't move much. It seemed to be watching her. "I'm going to call you Mull," Jin said as she set down her bag. Mull meant water in their language. The name fit the creature's flowing body. Jin had no idea how to help something not from Earth, but she knew that all living things needed certain things: clean wounds, removed harmful objects, support for healing. She would start there. She dipped a cloth in warm water and reached toward one of the creature's wounds. Her hand shook slightly. The creature, Mull, watched her hand move closer. Jean held her breath. When the cloth touched Mull's body, it felt both solid and not, like touching thick honey. The creature didn't pull away or show signs of pain. "Good," Jin said softly. "Let me help you." For the next hour, Jin cleaned each wound. The glowing blood stuck to her fingers but washed off with water. When she finished, she mixed a paste of healing herbs. She had no idea if earth medicine would help, but she had to try something. As she worked, Jin talked to Mull. She didn't know if it understood, but talking helped her stay calm. "My brother Tay was always looking for new things," she said. "He wanted to see beyond our village. Maybe that's why he went looking for you." Jin looked at the pendant floating inside Mull's body. It drifted among the strange parts like a leaf on water. "Did he suffer?" she asked suddenly. "When you took him?" Mull made no sound or sign of understanding. It just watched her with what seemed like curiosity. Over the next few days, Jin established a routine. She visited Mull 3 times each day, morning, noon, and night. She brought food, but Mull showed no interest in eating. Instead, it seemed to draw energy from sunlight. It would move to the beam of light from the window and stay there for hours. The village grew more afraid. Hunting parties returned with no animals. Gardens that had been growing well suddenly had dying plants. Children said they saw shadows at their windows at night. On the 4th day, Elder Sung came to the hut. "Your 3 days are up," he said from the doorway. He wouldn't step inside. "The creature is still healing," Jin said. "I need more time." Sung frowned. "Strange things are happening. In Hanul, bad things, since that thing arrived." "You can't blame everything on Mull," Jin said. "Mull." Sung's eyes widened. "You named it? Like a pet?" "I needed to call it something." Sung shook his head. "You have until the next full moon. 3 more weeks. Then it must go one way or another." That night, Jin couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about what Sung had said. Was Mull causing the problems in the village? She didn't believe it, but she couldn't explain the strange events either. Unable to rest, Jin got up and walked to the isolation hut. The night was clear, with stars filling the sky like scattered salt. Jin paused outside the hut door, listening. From inside came a strange sound, like water moving, but with a rhythm to it. Jin opened the door slowly. In the darkness, Mull's body glowed softly. The lights inside it pulsed in a pattern. The creature was making the water sound. Jin stepped inside. "Mull?" The sound stopped. The creature turned toward her. Jin had an idea. She sat down near Mull and began to sing softly. It was a lullaby she used to sing to Tay when they were children. "Sleep, little one, under stars so bright. Dream of mountains tall and streams so clear. Morning waits with golden light. But now, the night holds you dear." As she sang, something amazing happened. The lights inside Mull began to pulse in rhythm with her song. Jin sang the lullaby again, watching in wonder as the creature's body lit up with each note. "You can hear the music," Jin whispered. "You understand it." From that night on, Jin added music to her treatments. She sang to Mull, or tapped rhythms, on a small drum. During these sessions, the creature's wounds healed faster. The glowing blood stopped leaking. Mull began to move more, sometimes shifting its shape slightly, becoming taller or wider, as if trying to find a form that worked better. 1 week passed, then another. Jin spent more time in the isolation hut than in her own home. The villagers talked, but she didn't care. She was making progress with Mul. She was sure of it. Then came the night that changed everything. Jin had fallen asleep in her house after a long day. In her dreams, she saw Tae. He was calling to her, but she couldn't hear his words. She reached for him, but he kept moving away. She woke with tears on her face. The room was dark, but something felt wrong. Jin wasn't alone. A soft glow came from the corner of the room. Mul was there, somehow having left the isolation hut and entered her home. Its body glowed gently in the darkness. It stood over her bed, watching. Jin's heart raced, but she didn't scream. She stayed still, waiting to see what the creature would do. Mul leaned closer. A small part of its body extended toward her face, like a finger, but made of the same clear flowing material as the rest of it. Jin held her breath. The finger-like extension touched her cheek gently, where tears had fallen. It wiped the wetness away. Jin's fear melted into wonder. "You're trying to help me," she whispered. Mul pulled back slightly, but stayed near. Jin slowly sat up. "You knew I was sad," she said. "You came to check on me." The creature moved in a way that almost looked like nodding. Jin got out of bed and lit a small lamp. In its light, she looked at Mul with new eyes. This wasn't just a strange beast, it was trying to communicate. "Let me show you something," Jin said. She took a stick of charcoal and a piece of bark. She drew a simple face with eyes and a mouth. She pointed to it, then to herself. "Person," she said clearly. "Human." She drew another shape, one that looked roughly like Mul's current form. "Mul," she said, pointing to the drawing, then to the creature. Mul watched with what seemed like deep interest. Then, slowly, it extended part of itself again. It took the charcoal from Jin's hand and made a mark on the bark, a circle with smaller circles inside it. Jin gasped. It wasn't just copying her. It was trying to communicate back. That night, as the village slept, Jin and Mul began to build a language of simple drawings. By morning, Jin had learned something that changed everything she thought about the creature. Mul wasn't a single being. It was many minds in one body, and somewhere in that collection of minds was something that had once been her brother. Dawn light filtered through the window of the isolation hut. Jin had not slept. All night, she and Mul had communicated through simple drawings. Her mind was racing with what she had learned. She looked at the bark pieces spread across the floor. The drawings told an impossible story. Mul had come from beyond the stars. It traveled through the empty darkness between worlds. And it was not alone. There were more like it. "Why did you take my brother?" Jin asked, drawing a simple figure of Tae and pointing to the pendant still floating inside Mul's body. Mul took the charcoal and drew what looked like a person. Then it drew many small dots around the person with lines connecting them to the figure. Jin didn't understand. Frustrated, Jin tried a different approach. She closed her eyes and sang Tae's lullaby again. As she sang, she felt something strange, a tingling in her fingers and a lightness in her head. When she opened her eyes, Mul was very close to her. The lights inside its body pulsed strongly with the rhythm of her song. The creature extended a tendril toward her forehead. Jin didn't move. Away. "Are you trying to show me something?" The tendril touched her skin. It felt cool and warm at the same time. Suddenly, Jin saw images in her mind, stars moving past at incredible speed, Earth growing larger, forests and mountains seen from above, Tae looking up in wonder at lights in the sky. Fear, then confusion, then a strange sense of expansion. Jin pulled back, gasping. I saw through your eyes," she whispered. "And I saw Tae. The moment you took him." Mul's body rippled, the lights inside moving faster. "He's still in there, isn't he? Not his body, but something of him." Jin rushed home and returned with her medicine bag. Inside were herbs her grandmother had taught her to use only in special cases. Herbs that opened the mind and allowed healers to see sickness more clearly. She mixed the herbs with water and drank the bitter liquid. Then she reached out and touched Mole again. This time the connection was stronger. Images flooded her mind, but now she could almost hear thoughts too. Not taking, saving, preserving, adding to the whole. Humans die so quickly, their minds lost, forever. We keep them. They continue. Jin understood now. Mole's kind didn't kill as humans understood it. They absorbed, integrated. To them, it was a form of rescue, taking individual minds and adding them to their collective consciousness. But we don't want to be saved that way, Jin said aloud. We value our separate selves. Through the herb strengthened connection, she felt confusion from Mole. The concept of valuing individual existence over being part of something larger was foreign to it. Jin focused her thoughts on Tai. Can I speak to my brother? The lights in Mole shifted. Jin felt a new presence in the connection. It wasn't fully Tai, more like fragments of him, memories and feelings without complete awareness. Sister, stars. So many minds, no boundaries. Tears ran down Jin's face. He's alive, but not like before. When the herbs wore off, Jin was exhausted but determined. Over the next few days, she refined the mixture, making it stronger but safer. She learned to connect with Mole for longer periods without becoming lost in the flood of alien thoughts. Through these connections, Jin discovered more about Mole's kind. They had visited Earth many times over thousands of years, taking small numbers of humans each time. They didn't understand death as humans did. To them, physical bodies were temporary vessels. What mattered was the mind, the consciousness. One evening, as Jin left the isolation hut, she found Young Ho, a farmer, waiting outside. "What are you doing in there all day?" he asked, his eyes narrow with suspicion. "I'm helping it heal," Jin said, "and learning from it." "Learning what? How to betray your own kind?" Young Ho stepped closer. "My cows won't give milk anymore. Plants die overnight. Children have nightmares about stars falling. It all started when that thing came." "Mole isn't causing those problems," Jin said, though she wasn't completely sure. "Mole," Young Ho spat. "You name it like a pet. Don't you care that it ate your own brother?" Jin stood straight. "My brother is still alive. Part of him at least. Inside Mole." Young Ho's face changed from anger to disgust. "You've gone mad. The village council needs to know this." He turned and hurried toward the village center. Jin knew she should follow him, try to explain, but she was too tired from the connection with Mole. She went home and fell into a deep sleep. She dreamed of stars and vast empty spaces, of minds touching across impossible distances, of being both, herself and part of something much larger. Jin woke to shouting. Morning light streamed through her window. Outside, she heard many voices growing closer. She dressed quickly and stepped outside. A group of villagers was approaching, led by Elder Sung. Young Ho was there, and so were many others. Some carried farming tools. Some carried torches, despite the morning sun. "Jin," Elder Sung called out. "We must speak with you." Jin stood her ground. "What is this about?" "Young Ho told us what you said, about your brother still being alive inside the creature." Sung's face was grim. "He says you've been taking mind-altering herbs to speak with it." "It's true," Jin said. "Mole's kind don't kill as we understand it. They absorb, integrate. Tay's consciousness, parts of it still exist." Whispers spread through the crowd. Someone said, "Possession. The creature has infected her mind," another voice said. Sung raised his hand for quiet. "Jin, you are a respected healer, but this thing has clouded your judgment. Young Ho saw you in a trance, communing with it. This is dangerous magic." "It's not magic," Jin said. "It's just a different kind of life, a different way of being." "The full moon is tomorrow night," Sung said. "As agreed. We will destroy the creature then. For your own good, you will stay in your house until it's done." Two strong men stepped forward. Jin recognized them as the village's peacekeepers, who normally settled arguments or dealt with rare crimes. "You can't do this," Jin said, backing away. Mole isn't what you think. Restrain her, Sung ordered. Gently. She is not herself. As the men approached, Jin turned and ran. Not toward her house, but toward the isolation hut. She had to reach Mole, had to warn it. She threw open the hut door and rushed inside. Mole was there, its body glowing brightly. In the dim room. They're coming, Jin gasped. Tomorrow night, they plan to destroy you. Mole's lights pulsed rapidly. It seemed to understand the danger. Jin made a quick decision. We need to connect again. Deeper this time. I need to fully understand what you are, so I can explain to them. She took out her herbs and mixed the strongest dose she dared. As she drank it, she reached for Mole with both hands. Show me everything, she said. Show me what my brother experienced. Show me what you truly are. The connection formed instantly. Jin felt herself falling into Mole's collective consciousness. But this time something was different. Instead of just seeing and feeling fragments, she sensed Mole opening itself completely. She saw the vastness of space through thousands of years of memory. Countless worlds, countless beings absorbed and preserved. The beauty and terror of existence, without boundaries. And there among the countless minds was Tae. Not whole, but not gone. His memories, his feelings, his essence flowing like a current in a vast ocean. Through him, Jin felt what it was like to be taken. The initial fear. The moment of pain. Then the expansion. Mind connecting to mind in endless networks of thought. But she also felt something else. Something Mole had never experienced before coming to Earth. Loss. Through Jin's connection to Tae, Mole was feeling the pain of separation for the first time. The grief of a sister for her brother. The emptiness left behind when one consciousness was severed from another. As this understanding flowed between them, Mole's body began to change. New structures formed inside it. Pathways that looked almost like a human nervous system. In the center, near Tae's pendant, something shaped like a human heart began to beat. Jin felt Mole's confusion, then its growing comprehension. It had never before encountered a species that valued individual connections over collective knowledge. Never understood that absorption could be seen as destruction rather than preservation. As this understanding deepened, Jin felt something impossible happening. Mole was crying. Not human tears, but drops of glowing blue-green fluid that fell from its body and crystallized upon touching the ground. Each drop contained memories, not just Mole's, but those of everyone it had ever absorbed. It was the first time in its species' existence that it had experienced regret. Jin woke on the floor of the isolation hut. Her head hurt and her mouth was dry. Sunlight told her it was already afternoon. She had been connected with Mole for hours. She sat up slowly and looked around. The hut was different. The floor was covered with tiny crystals, Mole's tears, that glowed with soft blue light. And Mole itself. Jin gasped. The creature had changed dramatically. Its body was no longer just a shapeless form. It now had a more human-like shape. A head, 2 arms, 2 legs. Inside its still transparent body, structures like human organs had formed. The light still moved throughout its form, but they now followed paths like blood vessels or nerves. Mole, Jin whispered. The creature turned toward her. In what was, now clearly a face, 2 large eyes had formed. They were unlike human eyes, more like pools of light, but they focused on Jin with clear awareness. Then Mole did something that made Jin's heart stop. It opened what looked like a mouth and made a sound. Jin, it had spoken her name. Jin moved closer, hardly daring to breathe. You can talk? Mole's new mouth moved awkwardly. Jin, Tae, brother. Tears filled Jin's eyes. Yes, Tae is my brother. Inside, Mole touched its chest where Tae's pendant still floated. Not gone. Changed. Jin reached out hesitantly and touched Mole's arm. It felt more solid now, though still strange, like touching warm glass with something alive moving underneath. You understand now, don't you? About loss. About what it means when you take someone. Maul nodded. A human gesture it had never made before. Feel empty space. Where person was. Hurts. That's grief, Jin said. It's what humans feel when someone we love is gone, not what cause grief. Their conversation was interrupted by shouts from outside. Jin went to the window and looked out. A large group of villagers was approaching, led by Elder Sung. Some carried torches, others carried weapons. The sun was setting. The full moon would rise soon. They're coming, Jin said. They still plan to destroy you. Mul moved to the window and looked out. Its eyes glowed brighter. Must show. Must tell. Jin nodded. Yes, we need to show them what I've learned. That you're not a monster. She took a deep breath and walked to the door. When she opened it, she stood tall, blocking the entrance. Elder Sung stopped a few paces away. The crowd of villagers spread out behind him. Step aside, Jin, he said. The time has come to end this. Elder Sung, please listen. Mul has changed. It understands us now. Sung's eyes narrowed. Mul? The creature. It can speak now. It knows what it did to Tay and others. It regrets causing pain. Whispers spread. Through the crowd. Some sounded afraid, others angry. A beast cannot feel regret, Sung said. It has tricked you. Possessed your mind. Jin shook her head. No tricks. See for yourself. She stepped aside. Maul stood in the doorway, its transformed body glowing in the dim light. Gasps and cries came from the villagers. Some backed away, others raised their weapons. Maul stepped forward slowly. Its eyes moved across the crowd, then settled on Elder Sung. Not monster, it said in its strange new voice. The sound of it speaking sent new waves of shock through the crowd. Elder Sung himself took a step back. It speaks! Someone cried out. Demon! Shouted another. Sung raised his sword. Stay back! He commanded Mul. But Mul took another step forward. It raised one hand in a peaceful gesture. Brother, it said, looking at Jin, then back at Sung. Her brother. Inside. It touched its chest where the pendant floated. What is it saying? Young-ho asked from behind Sung. Jin moved to stand beside Mul. It's trying to explain. When Mul's kind take someone, they don't just kill them, they preserve them. Parts of their minds, their memories. Tay is still alive in a way, inside Mul. Impossible, Sung said, but his sword lowered slightly. I've connected with Mul. I've felt Tai's presence inside it, and now Mul understands what its kind has been doing. It understands our loss, our grief. Mul nodded again. Then it did something unexpected. It knelt on the ground and bowed its head. Sorry, it said clearly. Bring pain. Not know before. Know now. The simple words, spoken with such obvious effort, created a strange silence. The villagers looked at each other in confusion. Elder Sung studied the kneeling creature. If what you say is true, can it return those it has taken? Can it give back your brother? Jin hesitated. Through her connections with Mul, she knew the answer was complicated. Not his body, she said honestly. That's gone. But Mul can return part of Tai's spirit. His essence. How? Sung asked. Mul stood again. It raised both hands to its chest. The lights inside its body began to move faster, concentrating around Tai's pendant. Slowly, a small glowing orb formed around the pendant, separating from the rest of Mul's body. With gentle movements, Mul cupped the orb in its hands and held it out. Tay, it said. Not all. Some. Jin stepped forward and looked closely at the orb. Inside, she could see swirling patterns of light, and at the center, her brother's pendant. It contains the core of what made Tay himself, she explained. His memories, feelings, the essence of who he was. What good is that without a body? Young-ho called out. Jin thought quickly. An idea came to her. Something from the old stories her grandmother had told. The sacred tree, she said. The one in the village center that holds the spirits of our ancestors. If we bring this essence to the tree, Tay could join them. Sung considered this. The sacred tree was the spiritual center of their village. According to tradition, it connected the living with those who had passed on. Would the tree accept such a thing? He asked. We can try, Jin said. This way, Tay wouldn't be lost. He would be part of our village forever. After much discussion among the elders, they agreed to try. The villagers formed a procession to the sacred tree. Mol carried the glowing orb carefully, walking between Jin and Elder Sung. The tree stood tall in the village center, its ancient trunk wider than 3 men with arms outstretched. The full moon had risen now, bathing everything in silver light. As they approached the tree, Mol suddenly stopped. It made a strange sound like water bubbling. From its eyes, more of the crystallized tears began to fall. What's happening? Sung asked, backing away slightly. Jin looked at Mol with wonder. It's crying again. I think it truly understands now what it means to lose someone, to be separated. Mol moved forward again, carrying the orb to the base of the sacred tree. It knelt and placed the orb against the trunk. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the bark of the tree began to glow with the same light as the orb. The light spread upward, flowing through the branches like water through river channels. The orb melted into the tree. Tay's pendant remained visible for a moment, embedded in the bark, before it too was absorbed. A warm wind moved through the branches, making a sound almost like a human sigh. The leaves rustled, though there was no breeze. Jin felt tears on her face. Tay, she whispered. Mol stood and faced the villagers. More crystal tears fell from its eyes, landing on the ground around the tree roots. Where they fell, small flowers began to grow, flowers that glowed with the same blue-green light. I understand. Now, Mol said, its voice stronger than before. Life, death, loss, love. It looked at Jin. Thank you for teaching. The villagers watched in silence. Fear still showed on many faces, but something else was there too, wonder, and perhaps the beginning of understanding. 3 months passed. Spring came to Hanul village, bringing new life to the mountains. The sacred tree, which had always been the first to bloom, now glowed softly at night. Its new branches, grown after absorbing Tay's essence, bore flowers that shined with blue-green light in the darkness. Villagers came to sit beneath the tree in the evenings. Some said they could hear whispers in the rustling leaves. Some claimed they felt Tay's presence along with the ancestors whose spirits had long resided there. Jin visited the tree every day, bringing small offerings of food and flowers. She would sit quietly, telling Tay about village life and the changes taking place. The biggest change was Mol. The creature continued to transform. Its body became more solid, though still somewhat transparent. It grew more human-like in shape, walking upright and using its hands with growing skill. Its speech improved daily. At first, many villagers stayed away from Mol, still afraid. Children were kept indoors when it walked through the village. But slowly, curiosity overcame fear. It began when little Me, a 5-year-old girl, approached Mol while it sat by the stream. Instead of running away, she asked simple questions. Why do you glow? Can you swim? Do you eat rice? Mol answered patiently. Soon, other children joined, fascinated by the strange visitor. Their parents followed, cautious but interested. Elder Sung remained wary, but even he could not deny that no harm had come to the village since Tay's essence was given to the tree. In fact, crops grew better than ever. The hunting was good. The strange problems, dying plants, missing animals, nightmares, had stopped. Jin continued to learn from Mol. She no longer needed herbs to communicate deeply with it. They developed their own language, part words, part images shared through touch. Mol taught her about worlds beyond Earth, about different kinds of life, about stars and empty spaces between them. In return, Jin taught Mol about human ways, about families and villages, about birth and growth and natural death, about connections that aren't forced but grown slowly through trust and care. Mool absorbed these lessons eagerly. It created small tools from parts of itself, glowing crystals that never grew dim, containers that kept food fresh for weeks, stones that warmed without fire. Gifts, it explained to Jin. Thank you, gifts. One evening in late spring, Jin sat with Mool on a hillside overlooking the village. The sacred tree glowed in the center, and around it, the village homes made a circle of warm light. Mool had been quiet all day. Its inner lights moved in patterns Jin had come to recognize as deep thought. Something troubles you, Jin said. Mool nodded. It now used human gestures naturally. Others coming, it said. Jin felt a chill. Others like you? Yes. Soon. How do you know? Mool pointed to the sky. Feel them. Many minds together, moving this way. Jin looked up at the stars just beginning to appear in the darkening sky. Are they coming to take more people? No. Mool's voice was firm. I told them. Showed them what I learned. They come to understand. Jin wasn't sure whether to feel relieved or worried. What will happen when they arrive? Must go with them. Mool turned to look at Jin. Its eyes held sadness. Must teach others what you taught me. Jin felt a heavy weight in her chest. In these months, Mool had become more than just a strange visitor, or even a patient. It had become a friend. The thought of it leaving brought an unexpected pain. You're sure you have to go? Yes. Others need learning, need to understand. Mool touched its chest, where the human-like heart now beat steadily. Changed here. Must help others change. Jin nodded slowly. She understood. Just as she had helped her village understand Mool, now Mool needed to help its kind understand humans. When? 3 days. They come in 3 days. The next morning, Jin told Elder Sung and the village council about the coming visitors. At first, their reaction was fear. More of these creatures? Young Ho exclaimed. We barely trust this one. Mool has proven itself a friend, Jin argued. It has shared knowledge, given gifts, returned Tai's essence. The others come to learn, not to take. After much discussion, the council decided to prepare for the visitors with caution but openness. They would meet them in the large meadow beyond the village, not in Hanul itself. For 3 days, Jin helped Mool prepare messages for its kind, simple explanations of human feelings, of individual life, of the pain of loss. Mool created a special crystal, larger than any before. Inside it, Mool stored memories of its time in Hanul, its learning, its transformation. For others, it explained, to understand quickly. On the 3rd night, lights appeared in the sky above. Hanul. Not just a few like before, but many. Dozens of bright points moving in patterns too perfect to be stars. The village gathered at the edge of the meadow. Jin and Mool stood at the front, with Elder Sung and the council members close behind. Children sat on their parents' shoulders to see better. Even the oldest villagers had come, supported by family members. The lights descended slowly. As they came closer, Jin could see they were creatures like Mool had been when it first arrived. Fluid, transparent forms filled with moving lights and strange machinery. They landed in the meadow, forming a circle. Mool stepped forward. Its body glowed, brightly as it moved toward its kind. The visiting creatures pulsed with light in response. They were communicating in their own way. Jin watched, her heart both heavy and hopeful. Mool turned and motioned for her to approach. As Jin walked forward, the visiting creatures rippled and shifted. They seemed curious, but not threatening. Mool held out the large crystal it had made. For them, it said. For all. Jin took the crystal. It was warm in her hands and seemed to pulse with Mool's heartbeat. Mool then removed something from its chest, a small piece of itself shaped like a teardrop and hardened into crystal. For you, it said, placing it in Jin's hand. My memory. of time here, of learning, of friendship. Tears filled Jin's eyes. I will miss you. Not gone, Mole said. It pointed to the teardrop crystal, then to Jin's heart. Here. Always. Then, Mole turned to the sacred tree visible in the distance. It bowed deeply in respect. Thank you, Tay, it said. First teacher. The creatures in the meadow began to glow more intensely. They were preparing to leave. Mole looked at Jin one last time. Others will come. Not to take, to learn, to share. Friends now. Jin nodded, unable to speak through her tears. Mole joined the circle of its kind, their lights synchronized, pulsing in a beautiful pattern. Then slowly they rose into the air. Higher and higher they went until they were just points of light among the stars. Then they were gone. Jin stood in the meadow long after the others had returned to the village. She held Mole's crystal tear in her hand, feeling its warmth. Through it, she sensed Mole's presence, distant but not gone. In the months and years that followed, other visitors came to Hanul, never many and always peaceful. They brought knowledge from distant worlds and took back stories of Earth. Jin acted as their guide and teacher, showing them what she had shown Mole, the value of individual life, the beauty of human connections, the meaning of loss and love. Soretio. Crystal tear became the first of many exchanges between Earth and the stars. Jin kept it with her always. On warm nights, she would sit beneath the sacred tree whose glowing branches grew taller each year. She would hold the tear and tell Tai about the changes in their world, about how a misunderstood beast had learned to weep, and in doing so, had built a bridge between worlds. And sometimes, in the rustling of the tree's luminous leaves, she would hear what sounded like her brother's laugh, joyful to be part of something so much larger than one small village, yet still connected to the sister who had refused to give up on either him or the strange being who had taken him. The story of the healer and the beast spread far beyond Hanul, eventually reaching the stars themselves. A tale of grief transformed into understanding, of enemies becoming friends, and of how deeply we can change when we truly see through each other's eyes.